Hey, ladies, once again, welcome back to Somebody Come Listen to This podcast. I am your host, Nava Speaks. And as you come in, I'm going to ask you to please hit that subscribe button and the like button to help push these videos into the algorithm because YouTube is still playing with your girl's channel and I have been stagnant on my numbers for months now. I know I'm not consistent on my posting, but help me out by hitting that subscribe button if it's your first time here. And so this video is going to be a continuation of my last video. Our last video was about why 70 to 75% of women are divorcing. This video is going to be about why most men are not filing for divorces and they will not file for divorces. And we're going to get into what they're saying, and we're going to kind of see if any of what they're saying is the truth. We know it will not be, so we're just going to listen to what they had to say about the situation. So I'll come back with my commentary in a bit.
So per usual, I like to be an equal opportunity offender. So I got a request to do the top 3 reasons why men file for divorce, but I think it would be more fun to do the top 3 reasons why men do not file for divorce. So here they are in no particular order, okay? Reason number 1 is that they are complacent. I see this more in long-term marriages where they're kind of winding down, they're more retirement age, maybe they're not very social, maybe they're just kind of like fuddy-duddies, and they're just fine existing, and they don't want to travel, they don't want to spend money, they don't want to give up half of what they've spent their whole life earning and saving. So they're just fine to exist in an unhappy marriage. They like having a woman take care of the house and cook and clean and do the laundry and do the lawn care and gardening or whatever it is that their wife has probably been doing for the vast majority of the marriage. They just are complacent and they don't want to change. And so they're fine just to exist and be able to keep their money, even if it means that they're not really that happy. So I see a lot of that with older gentlemen, especially approaching retirement or in retirement age. They're just fine to exist, and they're just not going to file for divorce. It'll force the wife to do it. Reason number 2 has a lot more to do with plotting and scheming. Reason number 2 why men do not file for divorce is because they're trying to position themselves financially to make things a little easier for them to separate. So that may involve moving money, putting it in accounts you don't know about, opening new accounts, increasing the funds that they contribute to retirement so that you can't touch it right away, increasing or changing their investments so that maybe it's a little less liquid, maybe some more capital gains, penalties, things that they might be able to change to make the funds less accessible to you. But primarily, they're trying to get you back in the workforce. They are trying to get you in a position where you earn more money or have more earning potential. So maybe they're pushing you to go back into the workforce. Maybe they're pushing you to renew your license or take a new course or do something that's going to help you out financially, because what that does, it puts them in a better position as far as alimony is concerned. So if they can get you back in the workforce, they're thinking, hey, that's less alimony I've got to pay. So they'll hold off while they make cash less accessible to you and make you in a better earning position to reduce their alimony obligation. And reason number 3, I think that men think that filing for divorce makes them look like the bad guy. So they're happy to let you do that so that they can tell everybody, hey,
why men won't leave a marriage if they're unhappy. I've been asked this question a lot from women, and here's the honest truth coming from a man who once was in an unhappy marriage. Number 1, we love our children. We would sacrifice our happiness any day of the week just to be near our kids and tuck them into bed. Another reason is they know that they'll be financially ruined if they leave. Even if they were the world's greatest husband, most courts would deem the benefits of the divorce to the ex-spouse by giving her alimony or child support, leaving him in a dire financial situation, which he will be crippled for the next 5 to 18 years. And last, truthfully, deep down, we still love our wives.
Okay, so I had to come in at this part and say, I don't know what his race or his nationality is, but I know for he could be telling the truth. Maybe he is worried about being financially ruined. Maybe he has money. But again, as a black woman in the black community, I know that a lot of black men don't have just like a ton of money, not the average black man. So this is not the conversations aren't going to be the same depending on what community you're from, but he could be telling the truth, But from what I see in our community, is a lot of black men do not actually care about having their kids, and they're actually making videos telling us that they don't care about their kids. Videos like this.
America, please believe me when I tell you this. 80% of men. If we don't love your mother, we don't really love you, motherfucker. We are trying to accept you. Nobody says that. I'm not saying this for every man. I'm saying for 80% of the men. Listen to me. If we don't love your mother, our love for you is hard. We love you out of obligation. What we do, we try to be moral and humane.
Ridiculous, because I don't see that coming from my situation, and we don't get along.
We got to stop acting like the men in the hood are the bad guys. You are here because your mother's health was in jeopardy if she another one. Is your mama gonna tell you, boy, you made it out that Freddy Krueger boiler room of a womb of your mama? Go over there with your mama, and when you grow.
So again, this man, I don't know what his race or nationality is, but according to Corey Holcomb, he said 80% of men, and then he said in the hood. So most men are not in the hood. Most black men are in the hood. So maybe he's just speaking for black men. If there are any other races of women in the comments that can tell me if you're Asian man or you're white man or you're Mexican man, Latino man. I know the difference between race and nationality and all that. But ladies, if your man is not black or African American, tell me if they had these same sentiments, because I have looked for videos and I don't find too many other races of men saying stuff like this online. But when I do come across videos like this, it's mostly black men saying stuff like this, that they don't love their kids if they don't love the mother. And according to the queen, Princella, men aren't capable of love, so they don't love anybody, I guess. So let's get into this next video, and then I'll come back with my commentary.
Why men don't leave marriages and relationships. According to statistics, women initiate 70 to 80% of divorces and most breakups. Recently, I've heard women say that men don't leave because we know we'll lose everything in the process, so it's cheaper to keep her in a sense. But what you aren't realizing is we knew all of that in the beginning. Men don't leave relationships because it's not logical, especially if children are involved. When a married couple divorces and they have children, those children can end up with serious mental health or behavioral issues. For example, let's say my wife just suddenly became terrible in bed, and I thought about leaving her for that. That means I'm essentially saying that my sex life is worth the risk of giving my children serious mental health and behavioral issues if me and their mother divorce. That doesn't seem logical now, does it? Again, there are some exceptions to this, but exceptions.
And again,
man can't sleep with his baby mama. He don't want to take care of the kids no more because he know how much she love them kids. And if he hurt them kids, he will hurt her feelings. Facts.
We always talk about bitter baby mamas, but we never talk about bitter ass baby daddies as if they don't exist. Baby daddies that's so bitter that you're no longer giving them cookies, access to your life or your time or your energy no more, and they take that as a reason to not see their kid. Bitter baby daddies. He bitter because you didn't get rid of the kid. Well, you should have known that you was obligating all that. He bitter. He bitter. He couldn't control the situation. You decided to have a kid that he didn't want, and he can't get over it. So now that bitterness refuses to allow him to be a father to his motherfucking child. We always talk about bitter baby mamas. We never talk about bitter baby daddies because we think men can't be bitter, but they can. Every time you see a man ducking and dodging child support, that's some bitter baby daddy stuff. Every time you see a man trying to use kids as a way to access that woman's space, time, energy, and body, and when they don't get it, they don't be around the motherfucking kids, bitter baby.
so again, I don't know about all races of men, but I know about black men because I'm listening to them online and I'm seeing them in real life. And the men in these videos are using kids as an excuse to not get divorced. Even though they want a divorce, they will force women into having kids with them as a reason to keep the women in toxic relationships. They will use your kids against you and say you're going to tear apart the family, knowing that they don't care about these kids. Most of these men have narcissistic traits, as even men online like calling them out. And this is not just like a one-off thing. We're seeing it, we're experiencing it, we're hearing them, but they want to use these kids because they pull at the heartstrings of women because they know women love so deeply. Women love to have family. Women love to keep the family together. They want to believe that these men love their children just as much as they do, but they don't. They're using these kids as a pawn to keep you with them because they know if you stay with them, they will have guaranteed sex, guaranteed food, guaranteed maid service, guaranteed just whatever, because women love so deeply because that's what we've been taught and programmed to do. So yeah, let's get into these next few videos and I will be right back.
If men are so unhappy in their relationships, why don't they just leave? Great question. I got a lot of messages like that after I put out the last video. Number one, the reason why they don't leave, I'll tell you right now, it's money. That is the number one reason. You have to understand when a man leaves a long-term relationship or a marriage, he's probably going to have to, if there's children involved, pay child support. If he's married, he's going to have to give up half of his pension. He's going to have to move out of his house. And if he has children living in that house, he's going to have to still pay for part of that house, plus get an apartment. He's going to have to support himself. Money. Money is, I believe, the number one reason why men don't leave. The second reason is, I believe, access to their children. Men don't want other people around their kids, and they are afraid that if they break up with you, you will go, you will meet someone else, you will move another man into their house, and there will be another man around their children. Men like having 24/7 access to their children, and they lose that when they get divorced. Or, you know, if they're in a long-term relationship and they leave. The third one is going to be their comfort. Men's, home is their castle. They have their things arranged the way they like it. Maybe they have, a man cave, or they have a garage, how they like things. Men don't like change. So now if they break up with you, they now have to uproot their entire life and move out and go, live in an apartment somewhere when they can have everything they want right here? They don't want to leave. They don't want to change their life and their comfort. And I believe the last one, the main reason, and this is not the main reason, but like the last one of the four main reasons, is if they have like some sort of business, or if they're in church or temple, or, they're worried about what people will think about them. They really are. Men view marriage, like they view divorce as almost like a failure. And a lot of times they come out looking like the villain, and they don't want that. And they do care about what people think about them. So a man will stay in a relationship for those four reasons, don't mind my throat, making you absolutely like miserable, and they don't care because it's all about them. Men will go behind your back and cheat on you, and they won't leave. They will stay, and they will stay because it's for their comfort. It's rare that a man will like leave and go find himself like a multi-million-dollar woman who can put him in like a beautiful lap of luxury lifestyle. That's because if a man that's very unhappy did find that man might leave. And you do have men that do leave their wife and kids. Listen, it happens all the time. I understand that. But your average guy, they won't just up and leave. They will stay miserable in the marriage because they don't want to give up money, children, comfort, status. Those are the reasons. In the case of myself and my ex-husband, we kind of figured it out that we weren't happy. And I like I said, I have a special needs son. We sat down like two rational people. We were able to talk it out and say, listen, I'm not happy. He wasn't happy. And kind of like work out a way where it was financially okay for the two of us. But I understand a lot of women are stay-at-home moms, or they don't have careers like I had. And it's very hard for them not to, say, take a piece of their ex-husband's pension. And they do need child support. It is what it is. But And they're going to need this to raise their children. But if you're asking me why they don't leave, it's money, children, comfort, and status. And they will make your lives miserable while they stay in this uncomfortable relationship. They'll stay forever uncomfortable. That's just what a guy will do. It's not advantageous for them at all to leave, so they'd rather just live miserable. It's however you want to live your life. That's the best way I can put it. It's men don't leave. They do leave, but they don't leave, if that makes sense.
The reason that men stay together and don't get divorced, even though they know they need to get divorced, they should be getting divorced. There's problems in their marriage, they're not getting along, and there's issues. So another reason that they'll do is this fear of money and finances. They're worried about, if they have kids, they're worried about how much is my child support going to be? What is that going to look like? I'm going to have to spend all my money on that. Or they're worried about having to pay alimony or spousal, also known as spousal support. They're worried about having to pay money to their ex-wife after the divorce is over. They're concerned it's money they just don't have, or they're hearing that they got to pay half their paycheck, or all these myths that are out there about what that looks like, and so they avoid doing a divorce that needs to happen because of financial issues, because of concerns about money and where their income is going to be going, and of course, sometimes forgetting all along that the other person could file, their wife could file for divorce. It's not just their decision whether they're going to stay in a bad marriage or not, but I think they feel like it.
Ladies, you need to realize right now that in a divorce, men don't want you to hardly have anything when it comes to finances or property, or they will give you the bare minimum. I don't care how long you have been together. We've seen it too many times. We've read too many stories. We've heard women talk on these platforms and on these forums, on Reddit, on Facebook, on YouTube, what men are doing. They don't think that you giving them your body, your time, your maid services, you taking care of their sick children. Just no matter how many years you have given and given and given, and they've taken and taken and taken, they are always worried about their finances in themselves. And they're always thinking about, I've seen so many stories of men who have put property and cars and stuff in family members' names, preparing for a divorce just so their wives couldn't get it, because they don't want to share it with you. I've seen so many stories in women's groups, divorce groups, of their men getting younger women when they get too old, when their wives get too old, and taking all the money and just spending it all on this younger woman because they're tired of their old wife. They want something new or more exciting. So they're telling you in these videos, men are worried about their money. They don't think that they owe you anything. After 20 years, after 30 years, after they begged you to have their children, after they begged you to be stay-at-home wives and give up your careers and just please them, and they will take care of you. Some of them even take care of you for 20 and 30 years. They will give you every single thing you need. They will pay all the bills. But then when they want to leave, they take everything, and you have nothing, no job, no career, no education. We've seen it over and over again. If you talk to your aunts and your sisters, your cousins, your nieces, just anybody, this is a tale as old as time. So I don't know why women keep getting shocked and surprised. And I see a lot of younger women saying that women that are my age are just bitter, and we're just mad because we don't have a man. But it's so many women on here that are warning women, you can get married, but just be smart. Always have your own, I don't suggest you go and be in the trad wife or the hypergamous realm and do that. But I suggest that you always worry about yourself, because in the end, men are going to worry about themselves. They're not going to worry about you. They're not going to worry about their kids. And I say it's very few that are going to worry about you and that are going to be fair. It's always like an exception. It's going to be a very few that really respect you and care about you. But for the majority of women, if you don't listen, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to end up homeless. You're going to end up with nothing. most women, when they get divorced, have nothing. A lot of these men think that women take everything in a divorce. No, no. Listen to these ladies and you'll see that most women are dang near homeless and struggling and just regret every decision that they made in their marriage because they decided to put everything in their husband's hands. So let's listen to these women.
According to research, the standard of living for women who divorced after the age of 50 decreased on average by 45%, and 27% were living in poverty by the age of 63. This type of financial setback would be difficult for anyone to recover from, let alone someone who's approaching retirement age. As a single 62-year-old woman with very little in retirement savings, I know what it's like to be facing an uncertain financial future.
Misunderstanding that women benefit greatly from divorce, that they are just taking men for all of this money, they're getting all of this money, all of the benefits, when in reality, if we look at the research, we look at the statistics, we will see that that is not in fact the case whatsoever. And in fact, women actually fare far worse in terms of divorce than men, whereas men benefit more from marriage than women. After divorce, women experience disproportionate declines in household income and standard of living, as well as sharp increases in the risk of poverty. They may also face a higher risk of losing home ownership and falling down the housing ladder. Their chance of repartnering is also lower, and the responsibilities as a single parent may further impede their path to economic recovery. What does that tell you? That tells you that women would rather put themselves at a poverty level than spend another moment with their spouse. This is a paper from Rutgers. Women often take a sole or primary custody of children and are less likely to remarry. Therefore, divorce involves a compound burden for many women, juggling both paid labor and most of the unpaid child care work with fewer resources than are typically available to divorced men. Despite these costs, women are more likely to initiate divorce and report greater life satisfaction post-divorce than men. Men's health in the short term after divorce is worse off than women's. They still actually benefit in the long term of things versus women. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Well, what about alimony? What about these women that are just living off a man's alimony? Well, actually, permanent alimony is relatively uncommon and is only on the books in 7 states. Alimony is ordered in around 10% of cases. So alimony happens regularly, but isn't a part of most cases. Also be surprised to know that more women are paying alimony than ever before because more women are becoming breadwinners and out earning their male counterparts. What about custody? Men always say, well, they never get to see their children. Their wife just takes sole custody. Well, actually, that's also not true. Most men don't even ask for custody. A Massachusetts study examined 2,100 fathers who asked for custody and pushed aggressively to win. Of those, 92% either received full or joint custody, with mothers receiving full custody only 7% of the time. Another study where 8% of fathers asked for custody showed that of 8, 79% received either sole or joint custody. Men simply aren't asking, and if they're not asking, the judge is not likely to just grant them sole custody, especially when we know that women are the primary caregivers for children. Stats around women's level and time and participation in domestic labor and childcare it's not debatable. Women spend more time, 2 times more domestic labor and childcare than men. Therefore, women are the ones primarily caring for the children. Therefore, they are primarily given custody. And when men don't ask, the judge isn't going to grant it. In conclusion, women fare worse in divorce than men. Yet they know that, and they still seek divorce. 2, alimony is rarely awarded in most divorce cases at only 10% of the time. And even then, it's not permanent. And number 3, dads aren't asking for custody at the rate that they should be. I'm not saying that the courts aren't biased towards women, but given that women have been and will continue to be likely the sole caretaker for children, they're going to continue to award that. Men's participation in domestic labor and childcare starts equalizing to what women are doing. Only then will the courts probably change their idea of when they should just award sole custody, but also men need to be...
All right, so you know you need to leave, you're not making a lot of money, feeling like you have nowhere to go. Number 1, if you haven't already, have a consultation with a lawyer. They will tell you what you can ask for, what you can get as far as spousal support, child support, Get that figured out. Know what you're dealing with. Number 2, be prepared to, maybe you need to sell the house. If you own it, you might need to sell the house, split it 50-50, whatever. You have to be willing to let go of a lot of things in order to get your freedom. Number 3, start looking for ways to make money. I know when I left my first marriage, after 24 years of marriage, I had 3 kids and I didn't have a degree. I didn't have a career. I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 15 years. I started training to be a coach, and I did it slowly and gradually. And it took me about a year to get financially stable enough to get out. And before I was even making much money as a coach, I was working a retail job as well. So I had to get really creative, had to sell the family home, had to move to something much smaller, much more affordable. But it was all worth it to get out. So it's going to take time, but every day just think about what can you be doing to build your skill set, to be looking for a job, to be getting creative, asking for support if you have family who can support you. So just start to take little action steps that will start to give you knowledge, awareness, and start to feel empowered. And find your community, find your support system. If you want, you can join my Facebook group, the Radical Women Collective. There's 1,500 women in there. They are all doing amazing, creative things to support themselves, to get what they need. So there are resources out there. There are options out there. Start with getting support.
So again, ladies, especially Black ladies, please, if you're listening to men, please stop. Like we just heard this lady say, only 10% of women are receiving alimony. And I said it before. If 10% of all women, I'm guessing that's just in the United States, are receiving alimony, what percentage of those women do you think are actually Black women who are receiving alimony from the Black husbands or the Black men that they are married to? First of all, only about 27% of Black women are married, between 27 and 30%. And most Black men don't have money like that to pay Black women. So these are talking points that Black men should not even be having. These are races of men like Asian men and maybe Mexican men or white men that are paying these women that are mostly in this 10%. So I'm just going to get into the last few videos and I'll come back with my final commentary after this.
Yo, 1 Timothy 5:8 says this, but if any provide not for his own, especially those of his own house, then he hath denied the faith, and he is worse than an unbeliever. I cannot wrap my head around why you have so many bum men who choose not to take care of their own children, man. It's his responsibility. When you plant seed in the ground, you have to make sure that that seed is nourished, that it's watered, that it has sunlight to grow. But if a man doesn't tend to the seed and take care of it, then he doesn't care about the seed at all. If she got to argue with you about raising your kids, you a bum. If you're thinking about separating yourself and putting distance between you and your child that don't need to be, you're a bum. If you accept partial custody instead of going for joint custody, you're a bum. If you don't want to sacrifice time for your kids, you're a bum. If you don't want to sacrifice sleep, you're a bum. If you choose a job over your kids, you're a bum. If you get with another
narcissist doesn't love anyone, not even their children. They don't reproduce children because they want them or love them. They use their children as pawn for a motive or a backup plan. They manipulate women for safe places, to always have somewhere to go back to because they fear getting themselves together and healing. They use childhood trauma as an excuse to pity them as adults, while they make the same repeated cycles. You can show them all the love you carry in just one body, and they'll still make plans just in case something doesn't fall through. They seek attention for power, so they are never satisfied. I feel for women who are involved with men like this, because just as well as he's psychologically messed up, his choices will also mess you up and drain you from reaching the elevation which is rightfully yours.
Okay, ladies, so what we've learned today is that men do not want to divorce women because of the kids and because they don't want to give you any money, and they would rather just stay with you than to give you any of their money. They would rather stay and make your life miserable than to give you anything. So, as we can see, there are more men that are narcissists than women are. So a lot of these men that y'all are marrying are like covert narcissists. So a lot of people that are on the outside looking in don't know that they're covert narcissists. But that was a lot for me. A lot of us know this stuff now, and I'm glad that we're waking up and starting to realize this stuff. And I'm thankful for the men that are coming out and speaking on the men that are narcissists. And most likely they're speaking on them because they're narcissists themselves. And I know a lot of people, women and men, are tired of hearing that word, but it's true. Like, truth is truth. I don't care, you know, how you say it, how you dice it or slice it, it's the truth. And to me, the word narcissist is just like a clinical term for saying demon, like literally demon. If you line up their traits and their characteristics with a demon, that's what they are. They lie, they unalive women, they steal from women, they're selfish, they're prideful, they're egotistical. That's just a nice way of saying they're demonic. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on this topic. And I'm sure I left out a lot. So if there's anything you want to add or that I forgot, get down in the comments and give me your thoughts and opinions. But this is a topic that could go on and on forever because so many of us have like so many different experiences. And that's why I'm just glad that a lot of women are talking. A lot of women are making their own channels and videos. It's just a lot to wake up and realize that we've been dealing with this for centuries, decades. And I'm just glad that we're starting to wake up as a whole. And when I say a whole, I mean worldwide. Russian women, Asian women, Chinese women, Black women, Korean women, just worldwide, women are simultaneously like realizing the same exact things, and they're reaching out from around the world because now we have the internet. So that'll be the only way they can stop us from talking about these things, is to just shut the internet down. But we're woke now, and they are panicking and they are trying to make laws to get us to stay with men, to get us to birth their children. And these men, as you see, are going to continue to gaslight and blame us like everything is our fault. And they're going to continue to act like they really care about these children because they want you to keep bringing their children onto the planet, because they know that their sons are most likely going to have their same mentality in a patriarchy. And that's why Sinji is the GOAT, because she started saying, stop birthing them. We cannot let her message go in vain, because that message is more detrimental now than it was when she first started it. We didn't know how deep it was, but now we know that stop birthing them is a matter of life and death to us worldwide, because we see what they're doing worldwide. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say, ladies. And thank you so much for the women that I was going to call you guys, but I should stop doing that because you are women. Thank you so much for those who are liking and commenting and sharing, because you know that this type of content needs to get out and it needs to reach other women, because they are still having the mindset that they can actually be in healthy relationships with most of these men, and they can't. And, they're ignoring the red flags because not a lot of people are talking to them. So the more and more content we can push out and get out, the better we can do, and the sooner we can start building communities with like-minded women. So thank you guys once again for watching. Please like, comment, and share, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.